do 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 do. What up, everybody? How you all doing? You like my little fucking song I did there? How is everyone? I'm just gonna do some audio tests really quick, and then we're gonna get right into this immediately. We're sounding very good. We're sounding very good. I like it. I like it. I'm just going to turn my mic up a little bit. But hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm not going to waste any time. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello. Hi. This is originally streamed on Twitch. So go to the description down below. Check out my Twitch channel for many streams like this. But I guess this works watching on YouTube as well. So I hope, just get a few views on YouTube would be nice. But thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate that. I just want to say to everyone, hello. I'm SDS Man. I usually don't do whole videos on TV series or really anything besides gaming that much. But I just decided I really needed to talk about this, and I was to do Steven Universe episodes, and I was actually going to do a live stream for each episode, so 5 total live streams. But I held off after the first episode because I didn't really have too much to say to really I didn't have enough to say to really justify a whole stream. But then I decided, fuck it. I'll just do one big stream at the end. So I'm going to be talking about all 5 episodes of the most recent arc, or I guess series, of Steven Universe, The Heart of the Crystal Gems. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize for maybe the lower quality of sound and of picture. This is something I am going to improve. I have ways to improve it. I'm going to, instead of just, this video is going to be directly exported from my Twitch, but I'm in the future going to start editing these videos and cleaning them up a little bit. So I apologize if the video quality on YouTube is pretty poopy. But if you're watching this on Twitch, it should be crispy clean. All right, well, we're just gonna get right into it because I have a lot to say, and this isn't really this doesn't really lend itself to a sort of this is a rant. Not a rant, but this is a constant talking sort of stream here. So I'm not going to be reading the chat. I'm not going to be really interacting with you guys. I'm just going to be talking about the show. I don't know how long this is going to be. This could be up to an hour. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to be talking about 5 episodes. So if you have never seen Steven Universe, I probably just wouldn't even recommend listening to this, and you probably aren't if you're on YouTube, because why would you? It won't really make any sense. But if you have, make sure you are prepared for spoilers up to the recent episode, Reunited, and also for some promo stuff. Just the promo they released for the next series of episodes, Corrupted. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit at the very end of this. But basically, this is just going to be all about I'm just going to basically sort of talk about, review, and do a little bit of analysis on the 5 episodes in The Heart of the Crystal Gems. But first of all, let me just say I love Steven Universe. It is one of my favorite cartoons on Cartoon Network, on TV right now, and of all time, honestly. I really, really enjoy this show, and I do think I am, of course, someone who does fairly review stuff. I always do. So, it's not free of criticism, not even close. And it does receive a lot of criticism, some deserved, some not deserved. So I do want to get that out there. But I do really love this show for what it is and what it tries to be. I think is what makes it so goddamn good. But I just want to kind of get that anecdote out there. I do love this show. I talk about it on my live streams a lot when I'm playing games with you guys. Sometimes I'll just bring it up if something reminds me of it. And I've had a few conversations with people that I play with or people in the chat about this show. But let's just get right into it. Heart of the Crystal Gems, 5 arc episodes. So basically what I'm going to do for each episode is I'm not really even going to describe the plot, because if you're watching this, I assume you've seen the episodes. I'm not going to tell you this happened, then this happened, then that happened. I'm just going to go from episode to episode, sort of analyze the parts of it I want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about every single aspect of every episode, but what I think stuck out, the positive and the negatives, and what I think the episode brought to the series as a standalone episode and to this arc. So let's get to episode 1. Now We're Only Falling Apart. This is the first episode of the arc. It literally starts as soon as the last episode ended with the big reveal of Pink Diamond being rose quartz, or rose quartz being pink diamond. So now we're only falling apart is basically a sort of backstory episode, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of. I some of the ones with Greg and Rose in the past were just very I don't know, man. I just never really loved them. I did really enjoy the first one, which was the one with I forget the name of the episode. It was in season 1, the one with Greg and Rose, and they try to fuse, and that's a really sincere episode, and we kind of see how they met almost. I really, or not how maybe they met, I don't remember. I really enjoyed that episode. But the backstory episodes never really, like the purely I mean, I enjoyed backstory, you know what I mean, learning about the backstory, but the ones that are simply flashback episodes have never really appealed to me. But I do really enjoy this episode when it's good. But I don't think this episode is perfect, and I think this is it kind of falls flat in some regards. But I think really what this episode does is this episode follows right after we learn that Pink Diamond is or Rose Quartz is Pink Diamond, and I think what this episode does is sort of like not only show why, which I'll talk about in a second, but really sort of really adds a lot to the debate or the question: is Rose Quartz good or bad? That's really sort of something that the show has really sort of been bringing up lately, because at the beginning of the show, Rose was this thing to look up to, you know, like, oh, Steven didn't know about her that much, and therefore we didn't know about her that much, and a sort of she was mysterious, but everyone you didn't hear anything bad to say about her, and she was just this loving sort of person. And then when you get the flashback episodes, they kind of bring up some aspects about her that are a little bit questionable. And then of course, when we learn of the shattering of Pink Diamond and we learn more about her past, we learn, holy shit, like, Rose isn't this perfect person. And then by the time we learn what Rose Quartz did, the sort of consequences of becoming Rose Quartz and how that affected people, especially like Pearl, and how that sort of like really almost ruined her in some aspects. I think the general consensus was, oh shit, Rose is sort of a bad person. And I saw a lot of criticism of this episode, or a lot of people saying that this episode like was sort of trying to say, the message of this episode was no, like trying to say that Rose Quartz was a good person. Like no, Rose Quartz not bad, she's good. But I don't think that's what this episode was trying to do at all. I think rather what this episode was trying to do was almost humanize Rose Quartz and sort of bring up the argument that Rose Quartz isn't bad, she isn't good. She's almost like she's like a human being in a way. She has her aspects of her that are good. She's done great things. She's done bad things. And I think this episode kind of humanizes her. And I think it does have a positive light. You know, it does show how she become how she became Pink Diamond, but also shows her selfishness. You know, she does selfish things and acts selfishly in some regards in this episode. And I think what that really does is sort of ground her and show that like she's a diamond, you know, she is herself. She kind of thinks of herself first, you know, and I mean, she does think of others, and especially when she meets Garnet, does she start thinking of others. Garnet really awakens that, which I'll talk about at the end of the episode. But I think really, you know, this episode shows like, hey, Pink Diamond's a human, or Rose Pink Diamond is a human, or human-like. She's made bad decisions, good decisions, and I think this episode does a really good job of humanizing her. So I really enjoy that. Also, there's a little line here where Pearl's telling the backstory that she says that she was given to Pink Diamond, which almost confirms or soft confirms that Pearl belonged to White Diamond, which is almost definitely the case. I really, at this point, have no doubt, because her all the Pearl's gems are the same spot as their diamond. So I'm curious. We're probably gonna get to see that pretty soon, because the diamonds are gonna know, which we'll talk about later. The diamonds are gonna know who Pearl is. Like, they're gonna see her and be like, oh wow, that's Pink. That's White Diamond's Pearl. So it was given to Pink Diamond because and I think this is almost obvious, the fact that she probably just disappointed White Diamond, and they gave it to her as a gift. She's like a hand-me-down pearl. Instead of making Pink Diamond her own pearl, the gems were just the diamonds were just kind of like, fuck this. You know, they really didn't show Pink Diamond too much attention. Didn't really even seem to care about her that much. So they just kind of said, hey, give this pearl to her, which is almost sad and heartbreaking. And I think that goes to show like Pearl's like sort of like lack of love for herself, or like anxiety. Like in this episode is a line where like Pearl says to like Pink Diamond, like, or Rose, you should just shatter me, like you should get rid of me, I should be gone, I should be replaced. Like when she thinks she makes a mistake, like that just goes to show she has like no sense of like love for herself. And that's something we've seen a lot throughout the series, grow through, especially in relation to Rose in her past. So that's kind of her main character arc, and that's why I think Pearl's my favorite character, and I think they really explore that here, which I really, really like. What also something I really like is the how Pink Diamond became Rose Quartz not because of this grand journey. She did it just because Pearl set an offline from Pearl, like, you should be like them. Like, look, you could be like the Quartz. Wouldn't that be cute? And then she becomes that. And then eventually it's like, oh, wow. And it's just like the queen, or becoming like a peasant, like, like to see how their life is, because she's curious. She's always curious. And the diamonds won't tell her. So she kind of does it by her own choice. And it's cool that was just because she just wanted to see that and she was curious. It kind of shows that's sort of more selfish. It's not because she wanted to do it for a grand reason, and it wasn't that until we meet Garnet, which is sort of a criticism I actually have to say about this a little bit. It seems like there's a little bit of a plot hole here. It's not a big deal, but you know how Pink Diamond and Rose like attacked like Blue Diamond's court, and that's when Sapphire and Ruby fused to become Garnet. I have a little bit of a problem in this episode because of this episode, because in the answer, which is the backstory to Garnet's creation, or Ruby's and Sapphire's first fusion, in that episode, they say like in the answer rather, they say like the rebellion's been going on, and like Sapphire's like, yep, this rebellion's going on, it all ends here, it all ends today, and that kind of begs the question, like, this then in this episode they say this was their first attack. Like they say in this episode, like, oh, our first attack was here, like our first, like, the rebellion or whatever, when we started to care about everyone, and we Blue and Yellow Diamond want to listen to us, we said, fuck it, let's attack the court. Like when they did that, it was like they said it was like their first time, but in the question, or in the answer rather, they said it was like the end of like they've been rebelling, like as if it's been happening. So like, has Rose Court just been like talking a bunch of talk, and then like pretending to like talk to Pink Diamond or whatever, and then that was the first attack? I don't really know. They didn't. It's kind of a messy sort of situation. Also, like, the pacing in this, I don't know what it was, but just the moments, like, didn't it feel right? Something was off at the very end. The background design looked very good, but at the very end, where it sort of like is where the question, I keep saying the question, the answer was, when like they meet Garnet again, like they just felt very off. And then when they repeat the lines I said before, like, it's clearly like the same lines, but like it looks like it's animated different, and they're sort of placed differently. Like, I don't know. And the fact that Rose and Pearl tried to like fuse or almost fuse before just kind of like feels weird. I don't know. Like it just that those moments felt weird to me. I can't really put my finger on it, and I really can't put it in the words, which is kind of ironic because I'm trying to sort of critically review this in words. But for some reason, it just didn't sit right for me. I don't really know why, but I really did enjoy most of this episode. Also, at the very end, after the story is told, it's kind of revealed that Garnet is the reason why the rebellion started, and she's kind of like the leader of the Crystal Gems, which I believe, or she's like the reason why the Crystal Gems are what they are, almost, or she's the reason that all of this happened, or the rebellion really matters, and that makes sense. It's for love, you know what I mean? And that sort of brings Sapphire back, and she kind of changes her mind, and it's like, yeah, I guess I should be Garnet again, which I thought was both like very cool and cute and true almost, but also felt a little bit rushed. Like, she's just like, fuck this, like I don't know. And then Pearl explains it to her, and now she's like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, I believe it now. And the rebellion didn't start to me, which is, I guess, was the whole point of the episode, was to show how Rose, the rebellion wasn't Rose, it was Pearl, it was Garnet, it was Bismuth, it was all these gems that have come together. It's not just Rose and Pink Diamond, you know what I mean? Which is what I think the show is trying to say. So I enjoy the message. just, I don't know. Like, it just was like Sapphire's like, fuck this. And they tell a little story. And then she's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm all good now. It just, I don't know. Felt a little rushed. But overall, I thought this episode was okay. I thought it was, I enjoyed it. All right. For what it was. In the context of this, in the context of it as an episode, I think it's really good. In this bomb or in this arc, it feels a little weird to start off like this. It almost felt like this would have been better if this aired closer to the last episode. Like if like Pink Diamond was revealed and then like a week later this episode came out or something. Like I feel like that would have felt better. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And the cliffhanger at the end with Ruby running away could have, I think, been a cool cliffhanger. But overall, I thought this episode was all right. I thought it was okay. I think it's probably one of the stronger episodes of this arc. Probably the third best episode, I think. I think it's pretty solid. But when I watched it, I was a little underwhelmed because I'm just, oh, that's it. Like I felt like this didn't really kick off the arc or the bomb or this series of episodes in a strong way. I feel like this really just closed out the last episode, which maybe is what they were trying to do. And someone argued that makes a good first episode, but I don't know. I felt like this episode almost felt a little out of place, but still was pretty solid overall. So yeah, that's really all I want to talk about. The next episode, What's Your Problem? I do realize the words review are there. I couldn't find the title card for this episode, so I apologize. This is actually someone's thumbnail off of YouTube. So sorry if I stole it from you, but I couldn't find, and I was too lazy. I couldn't find the thing. I was too lazy to get rid of the words review. So sorry if this is your thumbnail, but all the rest of them are actually from the episode. So What's Your Problem? Is the second episode of the arc, and this one actually is one of my favorite ones. When I first saw this episode, I loved it, and I still love this episode. I think this episode is really good and almost underrated. I felt like in this, arc, everyone's talking about Now We're Only Falling Apart, The Question, Maid of Honor, and especially the last episode, maybe all for good reasons. This episode definitely felt like the most fillery, I guess, episodes. But I actually, this might be one of my favorite ones. This isn't my favorite of the arc, but it's probably my second favorite. There's only one episode I think I like more, and you probably know what it is. But this is one of my favorite episodes of the season. I really, really enjoy this episode. And it's an Amethyst episode, which felt like we really needed it, and it fit perfectly between this. It fit perfectly as a bridge between the last episode and the next episode. I thought this episode was solid as hell. So first of all, what I really like is this shows like Amethyst really grows as a character, and we got an Amethyst episode which we haven't had since almost 2 seasons ago with the arc with Jasper, where like Amethyst versus Steven and that whole arc with Earthlings and stuff like that. Like I felt like this we really deserved, we really needed an Amethyst episode, and the fact that we got one here felt perfect because we couldn't really do it before and we couldn't really do it after. So I felt like this was the perfect time to have an Amethyst arc, and it really, again, was a perfect bridge between episodes. So really, like, Amethyst, like, she's like, looking on the Steven, and he's stressed, and he's like, we gotta figure this out, and she really just wants him to take a break, and it really shows how much she cares about him. And I think Steven and Amethyst have the not necessarily maybe the deepest connection. I would say probably Pearl and Steven have a deep connection. Same with Garnet and Steven. But Steven and Amethyst are only two crystal gems that have fused together. Steven's, I guess, is the only gem Steven has fused with. That's what I'm trying to say. Like she hasn't fused with Garnet or Pearl yet, which I think he will eventually. But the fact that he fused with her shows how connected they are and alike they are, and how they go through similar struggles almost. And what I really like about this character arc is, about this character development rather with Amethyst, is it isn't based off of like the other one, which is like, she's confident in herself. She's not like, oh, I'm too small, or I was made wrong. Like, she's not dealing with that struggle. She's dealing with like the struggle of like everyone else dumping this shit on Steven, and how like it really doesn't, she's kind of like sick of it, and it really shows how Rose being Pink Diamond has affected her, even though this is set up to be a Steven episode, and really this is kind of they both grow together, which again shows how these two characters are really connected, and Steven, when they're in the restaurant, says he really doesn't care that Rose Quartz is Pink Diamond. I think that makes sense because he never knew his mom. His mom was always just a legend. Like, oh, Rose Quartz did this. Oh, Rose Quartz was like this. He cared about her because he is her and he wants her name, and he wants to know more about her. He's curious. But I don't think he ever like had this attachment to her. And neither did Amethyst. So, not like Steven or Garnet did. Or sorry, Pearl and Garnet did. So like when Steven finds out that she's Pink Diamond, she's just kind of like, oh, she's not Rose, she's Pink Diamond. And he's not really like, he's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of messed up, but like, I didn't know her, so it's not like I knew her, and neither did Amethyst, so you know what I mean? And they have this genuine moment with Amethyst, and she says how, like, she really, like, it does matter to her, and Steven should be mad, she feels like, but at the same time, like, she says, like, it doesn't really affect them, and they kind of need to grow out of it and grow away from it, and the other crystal gems can't do that. And there's a lot of genuine moments in the song or in this episode, and it's not using songs. There's no crying. Like, this is like a very, like, I'm not saying those things are bad. I like the songs, and when there's moments of emotions, with crying, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, this episode does a really good job of just developing a character without having or developing characters without songs, without crying, without basing off of their like past like arcs. Like, we don't see Amethyst like crying that she's not good enough or too small, because she already got over that. She's already grown from that. And something I really like is this episode suggests that perhaps Amethyst is the most mature crystal gem, which is like hard to imagine, because at the beginning of the series she is not even close to being the mature crystal gem, and it shows how much she's grown, the long journey with Amethyst. And I really like that the show really took an episode to really show that, and I think it really strengthens the character. And yeah, Amethyst perhaps is now the most mature crystal gem, which is such like a hard thing to accept, but like really shows how the show really does a good job of handling character growth and change. And this episode does show that like they do ignore a lot of their characters. I mean, Amethyst hasn't had a large character development for 2 seasons, and it felt like she really didn't really do anything the past 2 seasons. Like this season alone, this was like her only episode. Like she really didn't even do much this season. So the fact that they gave her a whole episode really felt deserved, and I felt like this really strengthened not only the arc but the season and Amethyst as a whole, and the series. This is an episode that maybe I won't always think of when someone says Steven Universe. I might think of like Mirror Gem, or I might even think of like the other Amethyst arc before I think of this. But this is an episode where if someone asks me about it, I will say I think this was a genuinely really good episode, and definitely one of the best of these arcs. So I really enjoyed this episode. That's really all I have to say about this. But I really think Amethyst really finally deserved to get her plot, her character, some character growth, and she did. And I think they handled it super, super well. And I really, really enjoyed this episode. So this is one of my favorites. I even enjoyed this more than Now We're Falling Apart. Really, like I really enjoyed it more. This is one of my favorite episodes of the arc, for sure. The next episode, The Question, obviously the name draws parallels to The Answer, which is, as I mentioned earlier, the episode with Ruby and Sapphire. So the first episode kind of was a flashback episode, but it did focus on Sapphire. This episode almost entirely focuses on Ruby. And this episode is an episode. I know a lot of people really like this episode. I know a lot of people who really don't like this episode, but I'm going to talk about what I think of it. I think maybe some people read the title and expected like a really deep or interesting episode like The Answer, but the title isn't necessarily saying this is a sequel or a prequel even to The Answer. It's just a question, which we'll get to at the end of talking about this. The first thing I want to say about this episode is it starts off really strong, and I think there's a funny little line from Greg where Steven asks him, like, what do you think of Pink Diamond being Rose? And he's just like, well, I only knew her as Rose, so it doesn't affect him, which makes so much sense. It'd be so lame if he's like, oh man, that was who I was going with. Like he never and I like the line where he's like, well, she never knew that I was Greg DeMeo, and it's like, yeah, that's true. Like he only knew Rose, he didn't know Pink Diamond. So the fact that she was Pink Diamond doesn't matter to him, because he knew her for how she presented herself, which really I think goes to show the strong nature of the identity of Rose. And like even thinking as Rose is Pink Diamond is so hard, because Rose was her own character, she was her own thing, and now that like that illusion is gone, it still resonates with people like Greg, because that's what he was to her. Or that's what she was to him. She was Rose. So I really think that was a really good line at the beginning. I think Greg, despite not being in this episode too much, really strengthens this episode, and really goes to show how consistent they are with his character. I really also enjoy Ruby's like attitude and character with Greg. Like she becomes very carefree, reading comics, eating pizza, and sort of like adopting the style of life that Greg definitely influenced her to do. And it makes sense because Greg knows Ruby and Sapphire, has had an interaction with them. So, but we get some cute songs. There's a cute little song, Ruby Rider. I know some people don't love this song. I think the song is pretty good. I think it's a very cute song. I think we got our serious song later in this arc, and I really enjoy that one. But I think this song is just a cute little song. I don't hate it. I don't think it's the best song ever. I don't think it's even close to being one of the best songs ever. But I enjoy it, and I listened to it a few times. And I said, yeah, this is a cute little song. And this episode just felt very cute. You know, very, like Ruby, just very cute. And they definitely go for that cowboy theme, which a lot of people didn't like or thought was meh. I've heard. I enjoyed it. It did feel a little weird and forced. I really liked the amethyst turning into a horse. That was funny. But the episode, I mean, I don't really even have much to say. This is probably out of all the episodes the least I have to say about, because I really don't have much to say about this episode. I think the proposal at the end was very cute, and it made sense. And it's just kind of like, oh, they're getting, like how they read in the comic, like, oh, she's getting married, you know what I mean? Like, that's cool. And Ruby's whole like, I don't need Sapphire, kind of like falls on his face when she's like, I kind of do want her, because I want to, like, she's like, I love being by myself and doing my own things, but I want to do it with her, you know what I mean? And that sort of, I think, strengthens their relationship, because it was just kind of not lame, but a little underwhelming. That was just like, yeah, Ruby and Sapphire together, but they're just together because they're Garnet. It didn't feel like they, like, I guess it felt like maybe they loved each other, but it felt like they by themselves didn't love each other, like, or like had reason to love each other. It just felt like being Garnet was what they loved, and that was them loving each other. But the fact that they love each other outside of Garnet, I think, is what really they explore in this arc. And then at the end of this episode, the proposal and the fact that Ruby is having fun doing her own thing and living without future vision, but she wants to do it with Sapphire. You know what I mean? She's enjoying not being Garnet, but she still wants to do it with Sapphire, and that's something I really think they explore, and I really like that sort of theme. But the proposal was very cute. And it was cute. It was a cute episode. All right, it was a cute episode, and the proposal at the end was very adorable. And I think it was an all right episode. I would say this is probably my next to least favorite episode. Like if I had to rank them, I put this at number 4. There's only one episode I enjoyed less than this one, but I still think it was. I don't think it was as good as the last 2 episodes, but I think it was I think it was an all right episode. And on its own, it was probably weaker, but in the context of the arc, it definitely had its place in it. We needed a Ruby episode in the, Sapphire and Ruby arc. So I don't know, man. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this episode in that context, but I think it was all right. I think it was okay. Like if I had to give it on the scale of terrible, all right, or good and amazing, I'd say it was all right. It was okay. But it didn't really feel like it added anything by itself. But in the context of the episode, exploring Ruby just a little bit, felt good. The cowboy thing maybe felt a little bit out of place and a little out of nowhere too. Like it really just came out of nowhere, and it really nothing was going on. Like she wasn't really doing anything. She was just kind of walking around, like being like, "Oh, I'm a cowboy, yeehaw!" And it's like, "Oh, okay, cool." I guess it just goes to show how you want to be by yourself. I guess I don't know. I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. All right, back off. All right, the question. All right, the next episode, the 4th and next to last episode, Maid of Honor. I have things to say about this episode. Well, first of all, what I did really like at the beginning of this episode, how Sapphire was sad that, there weren't many people going to show up to this wedding, because all of the crystal gems that we know, like, besides Pearl and Garnet that fought in the war or grew up and around Garnet, the leader, Sapphire and Ruby are either corrupted or gone. They don't exist anymore. So it's like she's kind of sad about that, and I really enjoy that, and I really think like Steven had genuine sort of genuine motivation to fill that by bringing Bismuth back. Bismuth returning. And I've seen some people say it doesn't make sense that Steven went alone, like to shit. There's a fucking spider here. All right, I'm sorry. Your boy doesn't like spiders. All right. No, I guess I'm sorry. What I was saying was it didn't really make much sense. Some people say it didn't really make much sense for Steven to go alone because like, oh, like he's gonna die. Like Bismuth was going to attack her. I think that has a place here, but I really think that they had to do that. I felt like if Steven brought anyone with him, it would be less genuine, and I think the moments that Steven and Bismuth had sort of made sense for it to be alone. That's not really the problem I have with it. I don't think that's a plot hole. The problem I have with this is the fact that it just kind of felt like Bismuth really was missing an arc almost. Like, all right, what I did, I guess I'll say what I liked about this episode. What I did like about this episode is it kind of stayed true to Bismuth's character of being like, because in the Bismuth episode we met her and she's like, oh, she's kind of reckless, but she's nice, and then we kind of see a dark side of her, and her character changes instantly. Like it takes like nothing for her to go from becoming this lovable character to this like kind of questionable morally character that maybe does things that may not be great and kind of scary. I think that shows that here, like she starts off like very hesitant, and then she's like, oh, I'm with you, Steven, and you kind of start liking her again. And then like when like in the episode she's like, oh, the crystal gems don't want me here, you didn't even tell them, like she kind of is like, they don't want me here. It kind of gets scary again when she runs off, and it's like, oh shit, what is she gonna do? Like it's kind of, and it's unpredictable, and I think that unpredictable and bipolar nature of Bismuth is what makes her character good, and I really like that. However, and I'm gonna get to the bad stuff. I think it felt like Bismuth has changed out of nowhere. It felt like she's been gone all this time, and now she comes back, and then in one episode she's like, you know what? Yeah, I guess Steven, you're the leader of the Crystal Gems, and yeah, I guess I'll join now, and kind of like I can see why, Rose didn't want to shatter herself, and I can accept that, and I'm just easygoing. Yep, whatever, it's okay. And I just felt like it really came out of nowhere. Like I felt like that it wasn't deserved. Like it really wasn't deserved. Like I felt like maybe like they need to have another episode with Bismuth, or maybe like drag this arc out a little more, and they can do that. Bismuth is going to be in the future episode. She's almost like a crystal gem now, which is something I really enjoy. Bismuth is now a crystal gem again. She's back with them, and I really enjoy that. But I think that really like, and they could have, future. I'll talk about this more in detail at the end of the stream, or the end of this rant or this discussion. But I think the fact that Bismuth is now a crystal gem means she'll have some character arcs, maybe with Lapis and Peridot, and maybe with the other crystal gems and Steven. She can definitely have that, and I think she does need that more. They need to definitely expand her character, but it does feel like this sort of something missing, and that she just kind of changed characters instantly without really going through much. And I felt like this episode kind of that suffers from it because this episode has a pacing problem. I think the biggest problem with this episode is the pacing. The episode is 11 minutes, but I feel like this episode desperately needed to be 22 to tell the story they wanted to tell. I get it. They did what they wanted to do. This episode went bang, 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 bang. But it just felt like when I was watching this, like, this needs to be shorter. Or rather, sorry, this needs to be longer, rather. Because, like, there's just too short. There isn't enough to tell. There needs to be more story to tell. And I felt like they really sort of needed the pacing of this episode was just messed up. And I think it's because it's an 11-minute episode. I think with the stories they want to tell with Steven Universe, it really would benefit having a longer episodes. And I think this episode proves that. And the pacing of this episode just felt really, really off. And I just have an off feeling of this episode. Like, even when it was going on, I kind of liked what was happening, but it just felt like it was either happening too fast, or was happening for no reason, or it just felt like things were happening because the story needed it to happen, and that's because it felt like it happened naturally. Like, there's a lot of that. But the fact that the Crystal Gems accept her and Bismuth is now a Crystal Gem is something I'm very happy about, and I want it to happen. I just felt like they maybe should have brought her back in an earlier episode, maybe, and that would have made things better. I guess then this episode wouldn't exist or wouldn't have as much effect, but I felt like they needed to have a few episodes or 1 or 2 episodes before this one or leading up to this one that really strengthens her character, because it just felt like she really is just now so accepting without really going through a growth. Like Peridot went through a growth, and Lapis kind of went through a growth a little bit, and all these characters have had a redemption arc, and maybe she'll get her redemption arc after this and they'll kind of tie into this. Maybe she'll revert back or something, but like it just felt like it really came out of nowhere, and now she's just a crystal gem out of nowhere. It feels like it's a less deserved, because remember, she was trying to kill Steven and it was a problem, and it felt like it really just got resolved for no reason. And they always brought it up, like, oh, Bismuth did this, Bismuth Bismuth did that. I mean, Steven did, not really the Crystal Gems. They never learned their opinion of Bismuth. It was just based off what Steven said. And I guess that's what this episode is trying to do, is saying, like, oh, Steven says she's good now, so the Crystal Gems must think she's good now, which, again, just feels a little bit weak. And I just felt like the pacing and the overall parts of this episode were kind of weak, but I don't think this episode was bad. I think it was all right. I will say that this is my least favorite episode of the arc. I think this is I even like the question more than this episode. I think maybe the contents. There's definitely some scenes in this episode that are some of the best of the arc and way better than the question. But I just felt like this episode was just weak. I don't know. Like, I think this was my least favorite episode of the arc. But I really enjoyed Bismuth coming back, and I was like, holy shit, when they brought her back. But then the pacing of the episode just really sort of fell apart. And I do like the little pun of the episode, Maid of Honor, like the Maid of Honor in the wedding, but also, Bismuth is Maid of Honor. But whatever, I don't know. I just thought this episode was okay, all right? And there were definitely some plot holes, and it felt like the story just had to happen because they wanted it to happen, and that's because it felt naturally. But that's just me. All right, the last episode, and the one we're going to be talking about the most easily. I mean, this has been going on for 36 minutes, and this is going to go on probably over an hour, because I have more to say about this episode than the other 4 combined. There is so much to say about this episode. First of all, it is a 30-minute episode at the finale of this bomb. I have like notes that I made, and the last 4 episodes was a page, and this episode is about 2.5 pages, so I have a shit ton of stuff to say. So sorry if this is a discussion on this episode, because this is the ultimate episode of this arc, and I think this episode really holds a lot in the future of the series. I really think this episode is going to be a turning point in the series, but I'll talk about that more later at the end of this discussion. So let's talk about this episode. First of all, I think this episode encapsulates everything that makes Steven Universe. I think this episode has everything that the show does. I mean, great character moments, great songs, great emotions, epic battles. Like, this episode, I think, does it all. And I think really they dumped everything in this episode. First of all, this episode has way better animation than pretty much every episode in the season. Like, this has better animation than the last 4 episodes. Like, I felt like they really dumped everything into this episode, and then like the last 4 episodes were just kind of like building up to this. Like, they really, I think, dumped everything into this episode, and it shows in the animation. Like, when this episode starts, I'm like, holy shit, like, this looks beautiful. The animation just looks crisp as fuck, and I think that definitely shows in this. But I really like how this episode starts as almost like a play. I really thought this was going to be like a musical episode, like Mr. Greg at first, because it starts off like a play, like the spotlights. Like, there's a spotlight on Steven, and then the sink, and it shows him shaving. And I just really like how it starts like that. But the episode starts off with a song, and I think this like sequence with the song is one of the great. This is one of the best songs in the show. Like, I maybe on its own it's not the best song, but in the context of this episode, this song is incredible. Like, the song and what happens during the song establishes like the plot and the themes that we're gonna see in this episode and pushes it forward. Like, oh, they mentioned Lapis, and Lapis comes back. Oh, they mentioned the cluster, and the cluster is important. Oh, they even have a throwaway line of the diamonds coming back, and that's pretty cool. But it shows how everyone's affected by Pink Diamond. Like, oh, we see like Pearl being like, oh, I kind of have to, oh shit, like, I kind of revealed everything, and like Amethyst being like, oh shit, should I have roses? And Peridot being like, oh, Lapis is gone, that sucks. And Bismuth just being like, yeah, I have cool armor, that's pretty cool. but no, I really think this song like establishes everything and really kind of like shows like, like, oh shit, things kind of suck, but hey, if we can stay positive and we can stay loving, or we can just say, hey, fuck it, let's do it for love, then anything can be done. And I think that sort of theme is something they explore even later when they talk about Steven's powers or his aura. How Steven kind of makes people happy. And I think that kind of is the song foreshadows a lot. and sets up the episode perfectly, like perfectly. I really like the song and the scenes with it. I think that's animated very well, very crisp in how they explore everyone. And I really like Peridot's part. Peridot's part is probably my favorite part of this. And I really like Peridot in this episode, but we'll talk about that more. I think every character really shines in this episode, but we'll get to that in the future. The wedding is it's cute as fuck. I love the wedding. I didn't think I was going to, but it's perfect. They like that wedding is about like the 1/3 of the episode, and it's perfect because it's just enough, but it's not too much. Like, it felt like it's justified the last couple of episodes setting up for it. Like, we finally built up to it, but it's not, like, too long. Like, it's perfect. I also, what I really like about this episode is how, and I'm going to get a little political here, but not political, more like social, but how progressive that this episode is. Like, I think this episode, like, really, okay, this is my problem sometimes with TV shows. Not TV shows, but like media as a whole that tries to be progressive. Like, I felt like sometimes like in episodes, or like they'll be like, hey, there's in this case is there's a gay wedding almost, basically. I mean, I know that they're not actually females and they're not like physically, but do represent females, and it is showing two, I guess, females or girls getting married to each other. But I don't think it's earned. This show earns it. You know, like some other stuff, like that's the whole thing. It is a gay wedding, and that's what's supposed to be cool about this. But this episode isn't like pushing that forward. It's saying these are just two characters that love each other, and yeah, they happen to be female. I don't think, but this episode is pushing a progressive narrative. Isn't saying this needs to be happening. Like, I think some other like for me, when I think of like things like Ghostbusters, the most recent one, and I think of things like Ocean's 8 that came out recently. Like, oh, let's put females in these male roles, or oh, like we're being so progressive just to be progressive, and that ruins the fucking story. You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit about Ghostbusters now that they're just female? I want it to be earned, and this earns it absolutely. Like, it feels like it's really, really progressive and pushing it forward. But what I really love is when I was watching this and they kissed, I was like, this is so cute. But in my head, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is so cute because it's gay representation. I wasn't even thinking that. I didn't even like realize that this was a gay wedding and they got kissed until after the episode and everyone was talking about it. I'm like, oh shit, I guess I did just for the first time have a gay wedding on a TV show. But it didn't felt like it was this huge thing because they deserved it and the show built up to it and they said, hey, this is going to happen. And you were kind of just like, yeah, cool. And I think that's something that I really appreciate about this episode and the show as a whole is they do these things not just to do them, but because they make sense in the context of the world. But basically, after the wedding is a really cute reception. I like some parts with Mayor Dewey and what's the other character's name? Jamie, their little scene that they had. Those are the two characters I never really cared about, and their episodes always bored me, and some of my least favorite episodes. But like that little scene was perfect. Even with Ronaldo talking to Bismuth with the armor on, it was so funny seeing Bismuth with the armor and Ronaldo with the armor. Ronaldo also has a little cool scene later where he pulls out a sword to fight the fucking to fight the cluster or fight the diamonds. And Petey's like, dude, stop it. Like, that's such a good use of Ronaldo. And I think that's something that this episode does really well, is you have these town characters that have been established, have their own cute little moments, but that's not the whole episode. And I know a lot of people, I'm not going to talk about the Townie episodes and whether they're good or not. I think, or necessary. I think some of them are great, some of them are not. But I think here, this is almost what I want, is them to have their own little moments within a different context. Don't give Ronaldo his own episode. He doesn't need it. But have his little moments like these, just a little peppered in these episodes, and I think that's great. I also like his role in the Lapis episode a couple episodes ago, where he's just like, look at this telescope, look at the bar, it's a barn, shit like that. Like, he pushes the story forward, but the story isn't about him, and I think that's what I really need to do with these characters. And I really hope, I think and I hope in the future that that's what they're going to do with these characters now that they've developed them as much as they could, I think. So anyway, the diamonds show up. The cluster returns, which felt like it kind of was out of nowhere. Like, they bubbled it and just kind of ignored it, and now it just came back in this one episode really quick. They mentioned it in the song, and now it's back, which felt a little bit out of nowhere. But still, the diamonds come for the cluster, which makes sense. I guess they did mention it in the last season with Blue Diamond, Yellow Diamond song, and they mentioned the cluster, and they're waiting for it, but whatever. The diamonds show up. And there's this cool fight with the cluster, blah, blah, blah. I really don't have much to say about that. But when Blue Diamond shows up, holy shit, is that a moment. They start fighting. I teared up in this moment during that fight because, like, it's all of them coming together, especially that shot when Steven uses the shield, and then he's like struggling to hold it up, and then like Garnet, Amethyst, Bismuth, Pearl, Peridot, Lion, Connie, all these people come together to help him push him up, and it's really like, it feels deserved. It felt like they've really been building up to this point, and it feels really well deserved, and I really enjoy that fight. And the grief of Blue is strong, and I really like it's like aura. Like Blue has her own aura, and we've known about that. But do all the diamonds have their own aura? And I think the answer is yes. We don't know what Yellow Diamond is, but we see Steven's or Pink Diamonds in the later in this episode. And God, I don't even want to know what White Diamonds is. Holy shit! But we'll get to that later. But that little scene where she's making everyone like kind of tear up is really a powerful scene. But it's really cool how it doesn't affect. It only affects like gems. It doesn't affect humans, which I think furthers the point of like how these the diamonds use these powers to control gems, and how sort of scary and unsettling that is, I suppose. But I think that's what that's trying to do, is show how it controls that. And we have this really cool scene where Connie goes after Blue Diamond, and the sword breaks. The Blue Diamond breaks the sword of Rose's sword, and I think this is such a important symbolic moment, because Rose is slowly disappearing, right? Now, the fact that she is revealed to be Pink Diamond, it's like, okay, she's Pink Diamond now. The Rose was sort of a fake identity. It was an identity, and it's important to people like Greg and stuff, and even Amethyst and even Steven to a degree. But, you know, it isn't really important to, you know, as much as the Pearl and now Garnet, not as much. And I think they're getting rid of that illusion. Like, yeah, it's Pink Diamond. Pink Diamond is Rose, and they're getting rid of that by getting rid of the sword. I think that's symbolically saying, like, hey, you know, Rose is slowly disappearing, and now it's just Pink Diamond. So I really enjoy that, and I thought the breaking of the sword was something that was subtle enough to kind of be like, oh, that sucks. But honestly, that was one of my biggest no's of the episodes. I was watching a lot of reactions, and when that happened, people were like, oh, that sucks, but they weren't like distraught by it. But I was pretty distraught. I'm like, Rose's sword, like that's such a big moment in the shows earlier on, like in season 1, finding that sword was such a huge moment, and to Steven, to Connie, to Pearl, and it's represented a lot of the growth of Connie. But I think we'll get another sword made. Either it will get fixed, or we'll get another sword made by Bismuth. That's why she came back. They will make a sword for Connie. I think there's going to be like a Bismuth Connie episode or something like that. Or maybe a Bismuth Stefani episode. We'll see later in the future. But I'm glad that kind of got destroyed, though, because now Rose is slowly falling, you know, the illusion is kind of gone. And I really enjoy that. But we get an awesome fight with Blue Diamond. Like I said, I like all those scenes. I like all of them coming together. I really like the shot when like they kind of get picked up and then thrown at it, and you see like everyone attacking them, like oh, Garnet attacks them, Pearl attacks Blue Diamond, Amethyst, and it takes all those hits just to like make her like even go ugh. Like it really shows how powerful Blue Diamond is. I really enjoy this fight because it shows just how powerful the diamonds really are compared to every other gem. But I also, something I really like is Lapis's return. I felt like it was well deserved, and Peridot, of course, reaction is great. I think we're gonna have we need more Lapis character development, like we need Amethyst. We got Amethyst character development. We definitely need a Peridot and Lapis episode, and I really hope we get that in the future. But I'm gonna talk about more in a second. I think Lapis and Peridot are gonna have some big effects coming on in the future, and I'll talk about why. But I like how they foreshadowed this happening a couple episodes ago, when like Steven's like, you should just bring the barn to the beach and live with us, and then she's like, maybe I should, and then that's what she does. She brings the barn to the beach, and Blue Diamond happens to be there, and she drops it on her, and it's great. But the barn gets destroyed. I think people didn't notice this. Like after they drop the barn on her, it does all this damage, but then it shows to be it didn't really do too much damage. She breaks the barn. The barn gets destroyed. The barn is gone. So like that's the home of Peridot and Lapis. So I think them finding a new home in a new place is going to be their new home. Is they're with the crystal gems now, and that's going to be Bismuth's thing, which I'll talk about in a second. I think again they're building up to that, but I really like that. Yellow Diamond has a badass appearance. I love when Peridot runs up there. I just love Peridot in this episode. She's great in this episode. I love when Peridot runs up to Yellow Diamond. It's like, remember me? And she's like, no, and shatters her. Oh, not shatters her. Sorry, not shatters her. That would be awful. Poofs her rather. And then of course, Lapis get poofs, which I think is going to be something later. They're going to reform, and I absolutely 100% believe Lapis came back and said she was a crystal gem, and I think almost definitely next episode they're going to whenever they come back, they're going to have the stars, and they're going to be officially crystal gems. They're going to have new crystal gem uniforms, and I'm very excited for that. And I think that's going to them becoming crystal gems are going to be a little bit of mini arcs, and I think we're going to get them, Lapis and Bismuth, back together, and we're going to have some moments of them. I think Lapis, Peridot, and Bismuth are going to have their home together. And remember, Bismuth was the one that poofed Blue Diamond. We saw in the flashback and put her in the mirror, so maybe we'll get a little bit of that happening. Get a little story arc like that happening. That would be cool. I think Peridot will bring Lapis and Bismuth together, and they'll have to find a new home now that the barn is gone. But whatever. So I want to talk about like after Yellow Diamond like doesn't kill, but basically just beats the shit out of Steven, and how he's put into this weird realm. I love this part. A lot of people were like, what the fuck's going on? And so was I, but I really enjoyed that they did this. He's in sort of this weird realm where everyone's like a statue, and he kind of can get into their minds. And I think this just goes to show his diamond powers. He's been able to enter people's heads and dreams and stuff, like Lars and stuff like that. And now we see that here. It's like perfect. Like, this is showing his diamond powers, which I think it's super experimental and interesting, and I really like they took it in this direction. I think it's something that I really, really enjoy. And then what they do is I think this is showing Steven's aura. This is what I'm going to talk about next. So I think each diamond has their aura. Yellow's maybe is anger, or it's like electricity or something. But it's like she's like electric almost, and like Yellow Diamond's like water almost, and she can like her aura is like grief because she's grieved for so long, and she can make people cry, and that sort of controls the crystal gems. And I think Steven's is he kind of controls the crystal gems, but in less of like a menacing way and more of like a heartwarming way, where he sort of brings everyone together. You know what I mean? He even brings the diamonds together at the end of the episode, which we'll talk about. But I mean, think about it. He's brought Lapis together. In this series, he really kind of did bring Sapphire and Ruby back together, and he's done it before, like in Keystone Motel. But he's bring Pearl back together. He's brought Amethyst back. He's brought Parrot. He helped bring Peridot back. I guess he helped Bismuth back, although like I said, I don't think that was handled very well. Lapis too. He's brought her around. I think he's gonna bring Jasper around when she gets her definite character arc or redemption arc, which I think is gonna happen relatively soon. But I think this is power. It's like a power of love almost, like in the song. Like he brings everyone together with happiness, and that's what Steven does. He's the glue. He's the leader of the crystal gems, which is brought up in the Maid of Honor. I think that's what he is. He's the glue. He's the leader, not because he's Steven, and that's who he is as a character. But that also happens to be Pink Diamond's power. I don't think it's like super shoehorned in. I think it's deserved because that's who he is. You know what I mean? Like I just really enjoy that. I also really like Blue Diamond has a line where I think this is really ironic, where she says, "Does everyone who comes to this planet betray us?" Like that's when she sees Lapis. It was like, Lapis, you betrayed us. Peridot betrayed us. Bismuth, not Bismuth, but all these characters come to this planet and then betray us. You know what I mean? And that's ironic because that's what happens at the end of the episode. The diamonds come here, and then Steven turns them on their side with his aura. Although here it's done literally. He literally uses his aura to bring them together. But like in the other episode, he uses his love and compassion to bring to help redeem Peridot, Lapis, and all these other characters, and make them part of the crystal gems and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, this episode ends with the diamonds sort of not joining the crystal gems, but saying like, "Oh shit, Pink Diamond is here." You know what I mean? And that's how it ends. And it's like, what? Oh, reunited is. I mean, it can mean a lot of things. Peridot and Lapis were reunited. Ruby and Sapphire were like with the wedding reunited. But also, I mean, the big thing is Blue and Yellow Diamond were reunited with Pink Diamond with Steven. You know what I mean? And the fact that ends with this is just like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And I don't know if this is the end of the season. It's kind of ambiguous. I think this should be the end of the season. This is a perfect way to end the season off. But it seems like there's a few episodes left, like a new arc called the Corruption Arc, which might end the season or begin the next season. I really hope it begins the next season, because this really feels like it deserves to be the end of the season. It leaves off on the cliffhanger. Now, I don't know if this episode is my favorite episode. Oh, well, first of all, it's my favorite episode of the arc. For sure. Not even close. Like, I love What's Your Problem, but this is one of the best episodes of the show ever, I think. I think this is definitely in top 5 episodes. I think I could probably think of a few ones I like more. I think, honestly, I like Mirror Gem more. I think it's like a solid episode all in all. I also really like, there's a few other ones I like, Rose's Rose's Scabbard is another one I really like. But I think this episode overall is a really, really solid episode. But I don't know if it's my favorite, but I think it might be the best, just from an objective, not objective, but just from looking at it as the Steven Universe episode standpoint. It really is just an overall solid episode, and does a phenomenal job of showing how the show is just so goddamn good, and the strength of the show. So I really enjoy it in that respect. I think this episode is so goddamn good. So many great character moments from everyone: Peridot, Lapis, Garnet, Pearl, Amethyst. That shows off like Connie, especially. It shows off like the arcs at the end when like he's going through everyone's head, and it's like, Pearl, believe in yourself. I love myself. Amethyst, you can do it. I can do it. Garnet, you're made of love. I'm made of love. And it's like, Connie, I believe in you. You're my best friend. We always fight together. It's like, yeah, like it's showing all these character arcs and how these characters are so well developed, and everyone has a great character moment. I mean, everyone has a moment. They give everyone a moment, and I enjoy that. I think this is one of the best episodes of the show. But I mean, now I want to talk about the future of the show, because I think this episode is really a turning point of the show. I really think this episode marks sort of a different, like, almost the beginning of the end, I want to say, but just, I think we'll look back in this episode and say, oh yeah, this is when the show really changed. I think now the question is, how much left of the show is there? And I think, honestly, this is season 5. I think this will probably mark the end of season 5. And I think looking forward, I think we're only going to have at least one season. I think we'll have 1 or 2 seasons. I'm thinking 2. I'm thinking season 7 will be the last season. I think we're going to have 2 seasons left. And I think, because there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And I know Peridot and Lapis need some arcs. Bismuth needs some arcs. You know, maybe some Connie needs a little more character. I mean, she has a lot, but a little more to her. They need to answer some questions, or like with how Lars is going to come back, or like what's in the chest. There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. But I think really this is going to mark the turning point of the show, and I think there's only going to be 1 or 2 more, probably 2 seasons at most, at least 1. But I'm feeling at most. I don't think we're going to get 3 seasons left. I think there's only 2 seasons left of this show. I think we're getting near the beginning of the end. But let's talk about the near future. The Diamonds, I guess, are now on their side, I guess. But I think it's going to be the next arc. Is going to show like how the Diamonds may sympathize with Steven. I think the Diamonds really feel guilty about leaving Pink Diamond on her. Like they kind of just like, Pink Diamond, you have Earth, bye-bye, and kind of like left her and didn't give a shit about her. And she's like, please listen to me. And like, fuck you. Please listen to me. We don't give a shit about what I have to say. And then, she gets shattered. She dies, basically. And now they feel really guilty about it, especially Blue and Yellow, too. They feel so guilty about it that now she's back. Like, they're almost like they're going to listen to her more. And I think now they're going to listen to how she cares for Earth and how she wants to care for it. And it's going to be interesting to see, can Steven truly convince Blue and Yellow Diamond that the Earth, they need to leave the Earth alone, and it's worth saving, it's worth protecting. I also think now this opens up to the possibility that Diamonds can now show Steven how to use his diamond powers. I mean, no other crystal gem can use it, and he clearly has diamond powers. We see it here when he shoots out that aura. And they even say that aura, it like feels familiar because it's Pink Diamond. So I think they're going to show him how he can use diamond powers. So that's going to be super interesting. And I really think they're going to bring up the question, who corrupted the crystal gems? Or who corrupted the gems? You know what I mean? All the corrupted gems when they did that attack. Was it all the diamonds? Was it just White Diamond? Like, who was it? And I think that's what they're going to go with next. The next series is called Corrupted. The promo shows them, going to Centipede's place and showing the corrupted diamonds, and they think they killed everyone, but they didn't. They just corrupted them. And I think maybe that's sort of the final arc of the series, or the kind of final goal, is bringing back all these corrupted gems back together, and that will really close out everything. I think maybe they'll start with Jasper too. But I mean, if the Diamonds are on their side, then everyone's on their side. Like everyone, like maybe not White Diamond, we'll talk about in a second, but like, I mean, at least like the Rubies are on their side, and everyone they control is like the agates and all that have to fight for Steven. So that's going to be very interesting. But I wonder who now is going to be the enemy. If if Blue and Yellow Diamond aren't the enemy, is it White Diamond? I guess it could be White Diamond. I guess that's something we could see. Is it being White Diamond being the final enemy, being the final boss of this series. I think that's possible. We haven't seen much of White Diamond. We have to see her. I don't think that's why I think there's 2 seasons left. I don't think they can in one season have all these character arcs, answer all these questions, and show White Diamond and Fighter. I mean, like, the show has had a slow pace, and it's always that's one of the problems of the show is not getting to the point and dragging plot lines out. So I think like that can't be something they just do too quick. It kind of feel weird. But also, I feel like now how much of the show is left is a question. But I think the show is going to become something different. It's almost hard to be like, oh hey, Yellow and Blue Diamond are here. Oh, but don't you want an episode about Ronaldo? Or hey, don't you want an episode about Onion? I don't think they can do that anymore because the show is so serious now and it's just final thing. I think this is the final stretch. We might have a few Townie moments, but I think those Townie episodes are almost going to be gone and like they were in this episode, just become part of the other ones. Like maybe the Diamonds are walking around and Ronaldo just pops in and goes, I knew I should kill you. I should fight you. And they do something where like they shoot something at him. He's like, and runs away. Like just a cute little moment like that would be great. Don't make that a whole episode though. Don't, please, for fuck's sake, don't make another Ronaldo episode that just focuses around Ronaldo and his opinions about the Diamonds. Please, please, please. But so I think this is gonna mark a turning point of the show, and I think the future of the show is really a mystery. Like I feel like I could have predicted a lot of stuff that's happened this season. I feel like a lot of stuff in the season was very predictable, but I feel like this. From here on out, it's almost impossible to predict what's going on. And I'm excited. I think maybe some of the best Steven Universe have yet to come. And maybe not the most shocking, because there really isn't too much, I think, shocking stuff to reveal. But I think each character is going to have their own, another arc, especially Pearl. And they're going to go into her and how, I know she's had the most arcs, but go into her and her and White Diamond. I also think, we're going to have to see fusions with Garnet and Steven. And I think we'll see one with Pearl and Steven, and that will kind of bring back memories of Rose, and that might be a little bit of a problem and bring back some unwanted emotions. Or maybe Pearl will be like, I want to feel that again, and she gets addicted to it, and that could be sort of a regression of Pearl, and I have to fight that. That would be really cool. That'd be really cool. There's a lot of potential now they can do now that the Diamonds are here, now that we know Pink Diamond is Steven is Pink Diamond. Like, there's a lot of stuff they can really do. So I think the future of the show is very unpredictable, and that has got me more excited than anything. So I'm very excited for this stuff. But I've been talking for like an hour now, over an hour. So I feel like I really need to stop. But thank you so much for listening. I love this show. I overall I would say I think this is one of the better arcs. It has one of the best episodes in it, Reunited. I don't know if I like it as much as I liked the one at the beginning of the season, the 4-episode one with Lars. I think overall I liked that better because I think all 4 episodes were super strong. I think here you have the first episode, which is pretty good. You have the second episode, which is really good. The third and fourth episodes, which are okay to not super good, but it's just all right. And then the final episode being amazing. I think of other arcs like I think of like that Steven and Lars arc, and sure, this arc, or this bomb, has the best episode of the 2 of them and has better moments, but I think that is more consistent. But I still think this is consistently good, and it's definitely better than like some of the other arcs we've got, like the Steven and Connie arc earlier in the season. I think this is one of the stronger arcs that we've gotten in a long time. So I love this episode, man. I think this arc. I think these episodes are range from being all right to really, really good, but I don't think there's any bad episodes in here at all. So I've really enjoyed this. I think they closed out the season very well. I'm very happy and very satisfied and very excited for the future of how the show's going to go. So let me know what you think, man. Either go on my Twitter, maybe in the comments, if you guys comment. Go on my Twitch channel, tune into one of my live streams, bring up Steven Universe. If I'm doing a live stream, I'm not going to go in depth. I'm not going to go into spoiler territory because I don't want people watching me to get people who are watching me who are also watching the show to get spoiled. I'm not going to go into that. But I will give general thoughts, I guess. But maybe I'll do another one of these if it's requested. If people want to hear what I have to say about Steven Universe, maybe I'll do it. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I cannot wait for the next series of episodes. Maybe I'll talk about that. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But I'm very excited to see where the show's going to go. And that has got me very excited. And I love this show. So the more I can be excited about this show, the more unknown there is, the more questions asked, the better. So thank you so much for watching this, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys in my streams. If you're watching us on YouTube, hi, hello, YouTube. This was originally streamed on Twitch. So I don't, all the content on my YouTube channel isn't as always on Twitch first. They're also always live streams and then brought here. This is a non-canon live stream. Like I do actual, like I count all of my live streams. This won't count towards the total count. This is a cute little, cute little live stream. I decided to do out of the blue, or at least I decided to do it earlier this week, and then I'm following through with it. But yeah, so go to my Twitch, go to my Twitter, go to follow me on places, watch my streams if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitch, you can also follow me on Twitch. If you don't give a shit about watching live streams, just care about analysis like this or just other random videos that I do, then I guess just subscribe to my YouTube channel. But I'm mainly a Twitch person, so I'm mainly on Twitch. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys for future, maybe possibly Steven Universe live streams, or just live streams in general. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned, stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.